Great. Thank you very much for allowing me to come and present. Thanks, Carrie, for that. Just this is a presentation of. I was here 1.5 years ago. At that time, I was with the Danish Energy Agency, where I was presenting some CCS planning. So we've come a long way in Denmark since then. Well, we've come some way at least. Just a brief presentation of Rambøll. We are a broad organized engineering company spread over at least 35 countries in the world. We started up in 1945 with two engineers, Rambøll and Hennemann, who started this company. And we work broadly across the different departments, which enables us to do broad consulting on many of these projects. One of the key elements in how Rambøll works is that we not only consult in climate change and how to implement solutions, we also try to promote different solutions in the projects that we work on. Another key element that I'm very proud of to be a part of is that we promote different types of people and different opinions. Because we believe that many types of people from different backgrounds bring many types of ideas to the table, and this will create more success for the projects. I'm a part of the environmental and health department, where we mainly focus on impact assessments and all the environmental issues related to all the projects we work on. So back to Denmark in general. The political agreements, we started out, I was saying, like the beginning, because just like the previous presentation, we had a first beginning in 2011-ish that didn't go so well. And CCS was scrapped after that. But since then, we've had some major impacts both in the media, and also we have some visible changes in our climate, and many of the people around Denmark can feel it in their daily lives, how the climate changes are impacting us. So the situation has changed since then. So the main thing is, for Denmark, we have a broad political agreement, and this was very, very important in the beginning of CCS in 2020. It was 8 out of 9 parties who supported the CCS agreement, and since then we've had several agreements supporting funding, state fundings for capture and storage projects, pilot projects. We've had several bilateral agreements on transportation, and recently we've also joined a joint statement in the EU to promote regulation on transportation. By the end of 2025, it should be on its way. So CCS in Denmark. So we have now 7 projects that are active licenses. The first one, you see the one on top. We have in North Sea. We have 3 licenses for 2 companies. The green sand, you probably heard of that. Then we have Total Energy. We have 2 projects. We just in January opened tender on what we call nearshore, but these are actually these ones here. You can discuss if those are nearshore, but it was the name that was given to them to distinguish them from the ones in the North Sea. So and this tender, just like I said, opened in January and just finished in March, and we don't know the results yet. I would expect it would be at least 3 or 4 months before we know who has gotten those licenses. We also started on onshore storage, and these are the yellow ones. We have 4 active licenses. The blue one here in Stenlille is where we also have a gas storage. It was not given out in 2024 when the other 4 was given. So and what I can say is that Rambøll is working on all of these. So we are involved in many of the projects in Denmark in different stages and different phases of the projects. So the first one we have the green sand project. It has been out in the open that, or it's been very public about the project. It's the first full-scale CCS storage capacity in Denmark. So they have several arrangements going on, especially with Esbjerg Harbor, which is in the south of Jutland, out to the western coast in the Wadden Sea. And the main thing that many maybe have heard about was that at the time, Crown Prince of Denmark, now King, was the one who turned the faucet for the pilot project for storing CO2 at Greensand. So this has had huge publicity, and this has done great impact on the way CCS is promoted in Denmark as well. So we now have a full-scale storage capacity in Denmark, and it's the first one that we have that is going to be in full operation by 2030. So the next one I want to talk about is in south of Zealand. This is Carbon Cuts projects, and this is an onshore project, and you can maybe see that there's a bit of a cutoff here. It's not because we don't want to store underneath the sea. It's because we have the HELCOM Convention, which prevents us from doing that. We cannot renegotiate the HELCOM Convention before we are friends again with Russia, because they are part of that. And because in the HELCOM Convention, CO2 is seen as dumping of waste, it's not allowed in the Baltic Sea. So the main thing about Carbon Cuts is that they have been very open for many years. They've been talking to municipalities, they've been talking to the public. They have just reopened a legacy well to see the status of it and if they can reuse it or for the storage phase. They are very open on their webpage. They have high integrity also in the local area. They have just finished a 3D survey, onshore 3D survey, where they've been driving mainly on roads in this area, but also in some of the private landowners' properties. So what their starting point is that they want to address the public with hearing what they have to say. They want to look them in the eye and say that your opinion counts. I'm sorry, this is in Danish because this is screen dumps from articles and the web pages. So they take it very seriously what the public say, and they show it. So this is very essential for the public to feel like they're being taken serious in their opinions, is that Carbon Cuts actually deals with what they are saying. And this is one of the experiences we've had. Also, they announce all of their meetings. They announce they have several things going on. You can come and see the machines they're using. You can come and see all the surveys they're doing on certain days. So they're very open about what it is they're doing. Then we come here to how hard can it really be? We are coming to one of the biggest 3D surveys that we've seen. We have not had a survey like this in Denmark before. This is in the middle of Jutland with the Harbor Energy who is doing this survey. And we are, as we speak, in the middle of a landowner campaign where we are asking for consent for nearly 3,000 landowners. And we have some of course, the things we have to consider when we do these surveys. We have the area, the size of the area. We have Natura 2000 areas, protected nature. We have traffic planning we need to do, which is quite extensive actually. And then we have the public management, which is a huge task compared to what we're used to. Then we have things we can't do anything about. We have lakes, who is a part of the survey, with very difficult topography. So we have to have surveying in the lakes, which means that for the first time, we need to use air guns on inland lakes in Denmark. This has not been done before. Then we have very complex quaternary deposits, which play in the top, which create concern. And this leads me to the last one, which is some of the external factors that we can't do anything about, but we have to consider still. Many of you might have heard of it, the Nordic waste scandal from last year, or started a year and a half ago, where we have an old gravel pit for mining that has been where we've been dumping waste soil for many years, or they have, and they didn't really take under consideration what to do with the soil and how to build it up. So after massive rain, it started sliding, and this is due to the clays caused by the geology in the area. So of course, this is the largest one we had, which makes it more complex. The Johansson, even more complex. This means no, plain and simple. We've had an NGO willing to go out with both the politicians and making letters for all the landowners, telling them that if you say no to consent for seismic survey, you will we can prevent CO2 storage. And that's basically the main concern. They want to just prevent it. They don't want it at all, this NGO. So the process of this, as you can see, the last time I was here, we were in this phase. And now we are in the beginning of the exploration phases. But we have many more phases to go before we can even start putting CO2 in the ground. And we have many months and years to go for that. And these are the expected years for the projects we have in licenses now. We have several challenges we're facing before we can even get to that stage. Firstly, yesterday, we've been talking about technology, and we've been talking about investments. These are major issues. Investments is going to follow the project all the way through, and it's different for the type of projects we have. But when we're in the phase we are now, we're going to be facing challenges with regulatory framework because we're doing this as we go along. Denmark is moving very fast. So this is something we are doing as we go. And not only do we have challenges because the models are based on offshore regulation, which does not combine well with the onshore planning and environmental regulation. So this is a big challenge that we are seeing the consequences of now. But we are also lacking regulation, and we have holes in the regulation, and some of the regulations don't even fit together. So this is a big task, and it creates a risk for the project. We have the caseload on other authorities because the municipalities are the ones who are mainly going to be caseworking on these projects for all the smaller dispensations and permits. And they have never done permitting of this size before. There might be 1 or 2 caseworkers per discipline in one municipality, so this is also a risk. Public engagement, of course, we've covered that extensively through the last few days. It's a very big risk, depending on how it goes. And the permits and processes is related to the regulatory framework, but it's also related to the politics and whatever goes on with the authorities. And this is a risk itself. And when we finalize this, when we've done the EIA process, the environmental processes, the permitting processes, we still need infrastructure for this. We are lacking energy infrastructure, and we are lacking transportation infrastructure in Denmark. And all of this combined, we need to translate that between each other, because every department with the authorities speaks a different language. The public speaks a different language, and we have to translate amongst each other. And this is one of Rambøll's main tasks for this. So conclusively, are we on track? Well, in the EU, we have the Net Zero Industry Act, which provides us with numbers of what we're supposed to be reaching of capability of storage in CO2. And then in Denmark, we also have some agreements that we are well on the way with. And with the project we have now, the one I was describing before, we have approximately in our planning 26 million tons of CO2 ready in the next 15 years. But the thing is that it all looks very good on paper. And we just had a previous question before about injectivity. There are many things that are based on models. and all the regulatory and processing is based on how it looks on paper. So it's actually pretty hard to get to this point. And what we have to do is that we have to stop the sprinting. In my concern, the sprinting is over, and we need to start collaborating about the permitting and reaching the goals for all the risks that we are seeing in these projects, because there are many underway. So that was it for me. I hope I was in time.
Great. Thank you.